Also, I wanted to say that closed captioning is enabled in this meeting, and so you should be able to click the closed captioning item in your toolbar if you haven't already done so, if that's something you'd like to use.
Very helpful. Thanks, Althea. So it's the end of a rainy afternoon. It's the end of November. I don't know how all that happened at once, but here we are. And we really want to welcome, especially all of you who are joining us today for the first time and have not had the pleasure of participating in this particular group before. This is our Alliance of Age-Friendly Communities, and we welcome all of you here who had a chance to join this afternoon. We are an alliance of community leaders that are all working mostly at the local level. Some are now working at the regional or county or state level to on initiatives that are really helping our communities develop into places that support our health and well-being as we age throughout the lifespan. We're creating sort of the local infrastructure needed for that to happen. And we're focusing on issues such as housing options, and pedestrian safety is a big one, affordable transportation for non-drivers, civic engagement, and accessible public spaces are some of the top issues that we've all been spending a lot of time with over the last 6 years. And we do this through our stakeholder engagement and advocacy work as well, and through these kinds of peer learning opportunities like you're taking part in today. So we are very happy to have this opportunity to speak to our elected officials and others in decision-making positions about ways that we can engage our local elected officials. And for some more success, we're looking for successful outcomes in our initiatives that we've launched over the last 6 years. So thank you so much. We know your schedules are very tight, and for carving out an hour to spend with us today. And I'll turn it back over to Althea to let us know how the rest of the day is going to play out.
Thank you very much, Julia, for that great introduction. I also wanted to introduce myself. I'm Althea Pestine-Stevens, the person behind all of those emails, if you haven't met me yet, if I haven't had a chance to meet you yet. And I am a research project coordinator at the Rutgers School of Social Work and the new Hub for Aging Collaboration. And I am program manager for Age Friendly North Jersey, which, as Julia mentioned, is supported by the Henry and Marilyn Taub Foundation. You're also going to see Rini Carniel from the Grata Fund later on in this meeting, and Professor Emily Greenfield from Rutgers Social Work, and Colleen Diskin from Age Friendly T9. So today we are very lucky to have a panel of peer experts talking about age-friendly advocacy in local government. So we're going to start out by having a conversation with the 3 panelists. Then we're going to have some time in breakout rooms where you're going to be able to choose one of the panelists that you would like to chat some more with. And then we'll have a wrap up, and we will be wrapping up at 5 o'clock. So this is going to be a whirlwind of a meeting. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our 3 panelists. We have Cristina Cutrone, who's the Deputy Mayor of the Borough of Fairlawn. We have Karen Hartshorn Hilton, who's a trustee from the Village of South Orange. And finally, Barry Lewis, who is the Township Manager for the Township of Livingston. So if we could get all of our panelists spotlighted, and we can begin. So my first question for the panelists is just to tell us a little bit about your role within your municipality. I know we have 2 elected officials and we have 1 municipal manager. So if you could tell us a little bit about your role within the municipality. Some things that you might want to touch upon are the ways that you are involved in age-friendly efforts, the types of things that you can make decisions on in your role, a success that you've had with age-friendly work, or what part of age-friendly most appeals to you as a municipal representative. We can start with Cristina.
Hi, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. We've had a lot of success and in Fairlawn, and we're still, I think, young in this. So this is like my most favorite thing to talk about when it comes to my role in local government. So there was a lot in that question. I'm gonna do the best that I can, but if I missed anything, Althea, you'll let me know. So I've served on the council. Let me start with Fairlawn is the 4th largest town in Bergen County. We're close to 35,000 people. I've been serving on the council since 2018, and I've been the deputy mayor for the past 2 years. We operate under the Faulkner Act, so there's 5 council members. The mayor and deputy mayor are selected by council, not directly elected by the people. I heard about Age Friendly from 2 colleagues, friends who are on the Westwood Council, Jody Murphy and Aaron Collins. And Westwood kind of was one of the town that I had heard of first that was utilizing this program. And I wanted to know more. I met with them, and it turned out that Fairlawn was in this interesting position because our town, unbeknownst to me, years before I was on the council, had been chosen as a pilot town for New Jersey Future's work with age friendly and land use. So we had already had some data that we didn't know existed. And so that kind of got me in the door in learning more. And that's how I met Julia. And I quickly applied for the grant, and we were awarded it in year 1. And we've been working diligently ever since. When I got started, the first thing that I did was to bring back our Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, which now I know needs a name change, and perhaps needs to be our older adult committee. But we brought that back. It had been defunct for a few years, and we had a resident actually who was interested in that. So now I serve as the liaison on that committee, which has allowed me to involve more people in the process. And then, of course, we very quickly hired an age-friendly coordinator through the grant, who I think I saw on the call, Lisa McClemens. She was recommended by the age-friendly coordinator in Westwood. And really, Lisa deserves pretty much all of the credit for the success that we have had, because she is a force, and she, as soon as we brought her on board, hit the ground running and has not stopped since. Do you want me to touch on any of the other things in terms of what I make decisions on, or is that a good start?
I think this is a good start. You can touch on those as it comes up later in the conversation too.
Great.
Thank you very much. All right, Karen, would you go next, please?
Sorry, am I unmuted? Thanks so much for having me. I'm also, this is one of my favorite topics to work on and talk about. So I was really thrilled and looking forward to participating in this session. I'm a village trustee, which is the South Orange version of a council member. I'm serving in my 2nd term. We serve 4-year terms, so I'm in year 6. I love the job, but we're a volunteer, all volunteer, not paid body. And I serve as chair of the finance committee, and I sit on 9 other committees in the village. So I'm saying this because one of my messages to all of you is going to be, when you're communicating with your council people, you want to be careful and you want to know what else they work on. I always say, in reference to the budget, I always say age-friendly work is in every single line item of the budget. It really is. It's not just your recreation or your senior citizen advisory committee or anything else. It really is across the board. And we all need to know and love the 8 domains of livability. And it really does filter through every line item of the budget. So as I said, I'm chair of finance. I sit on 9 committees. I ran for office because I really love the library, and I didn't feel like our village trustees were paying enough attention to the library, but now they are. And it's been a very successful thing. I directly related to age-friendly work is I sit on the management committee. South Orange and Maplewood are unique in that we share a school district. So we're already doing the shared services thing in a big way. Now we've just merged our fire departments, but for a long time now we have had a merged SOMA 2 Towns for All Ages initiative. So that's dealing with age-friendly work in both towns. And thank you very much to our funders, original funders. But now we're on our own. And I would say that my most proud thing that we've been able to do is that we've been able to get funding in the two municipal budgets for the staff person. And that has not been was not an easy thing, right? Money is everything and very tricky. And, you need to advocate carefully for it. But we've been able to do that. And while we did have staffing troubles, which I know we could talk for a long time, not just age-friendly challenges, but we do now we're fully staffed and super proud of the people that we have on board. So that's in a nutshell. I'm sure that we can go into more things, but hopefully that gives you a good sense.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Barry.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'm Barry Lewis. As Althea indicated, I'm the township manager in Livingston. I've been the municipal administrator manager for 26 years now. Most recently and somewhat relevant here, I was the village administrator in South Orange before I came over to Livingston in 2018. And as it relates to age friendly in particular, I was part of the initial effort and initiative in South Orange. We had a lot of very interested and very supportive group stakeholders. We were able to then entice Maplewood to join us, which then successfully became the 2 Towns for All Ages that Karen just referred to. When I came over to Livingston, having seen that success, having seen how important that was to the seniors, I immediately wanted to start it here. And I was very fortunate here to already have a dedicated full-time person in charge of senior services, Liliana, who did a wonderful job. We got funding. We conducted the study, the assessment, and just very recently got it all completed and had our AARP presentation as being age friendly. So it's, I think what's in it and what's so rewarding is knowing how much it really is having an impact on people's lives and people who sometimes are forgotten. And so it's, I certainly encourage everybody to look at it that way. Thank you.
Thank you to all 3 of you for those introductions. What I'm hearing a lot of is the importance of having the right people on the team as well. It's age friendly is never something that's just one person or one office or even one department. Having those partnerships with the people who really make a lot of the progress and are considering age friendly in all areas of their work has really been important and part of your philosophy towards this work. So thank you. The next question is kind of taking a little bit of a step back, and Barry, you're welcome to think about this in terms of your work with SOMA as well as with Livingston as well. What would you recommend as a first step for a group who's getting started with age-friendly advocacy? So, a community member or a grassroots leader or someone who maybe works for a nonprofit or service provider. What would you recommend is their first step?
To me, and I would say it based on my own experience and what the first step was. And the first thing to me is educate yourself and learn. There are so many amazing resources out there. Age-friendly, it sounds good and nobody's going to be against age-friendly. But you don't really understand all that it encompasses. And I think as you kind of just go online, certainly go to the site that was on your slide to begin with, and Age Friendly NJ and AARP, and you learn about the 8 domains of livability and world. And you really, it is just tremendous sort of food for thought as to how every little aspect of what you do can have an effect and can be, positive or negative on an older person who may have different needs, different demands, and things I hadn't even thought about: infrastructure, benches, sidewalks, the full gamut, communication. Are they, so I think the first step is getting as good an understanding and knowledge base of what you mean by age friendly to let you then, because then I think that gives you the full understanding of who you need to approach and all the different avenues and which ones you can focus on first that may be unique to your community. Or that would be my advice.
Thank you. Karen, would you like to weigh in?
Yes, I would. I would take a little bit of a different tack. After you do what Barry suggested you do, I would suggest that you actually start small and start with something measurable and something that's really authentic to your community. As Barry referenced, and as we will reference throughout this entire webinar, of the 8 domains of livability are vast. And of all the communities that are doing this work already, we're all doing it a little bit differently. You know, there's different priorities that are unique to the special circumstances in your town, as well as the skill set of the volunteers and the staff people that are in your town. So I would, you want to, you know, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and that I would urge people to start small and start with something measurable so you can point to a success. But Barry's absolutely right. You have to know your community, have to know your statistics. You have to, you know, identify the problems that you've had already, and chances are the work has already been done, you know, in your community from various sources. But again, small and measurable is my advice.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, you could look up and see all of this great work that's going on and get some ideas for what it is where you might want to start. And it may seem overwhelming to see all of the different things that have been going on for so long. So I really like that piece of advice to start with something that's going to be feasible within your community with the resources it already has, but also something that's going to have some meaning for the community, that the community wants, that the community needs, that's going to help build momentum. Cristina, would you like to weigh in as well?
Yeah, just very quickly, because I agree 100% with what Barry and Karen said. And just to add on a tiny bit, I think with the research piece, my struggle at the beginning was when I heard about this, it seemed so obvious to me why this was a wonderful thing. But then I realized it's actually not so obvious to other people. And so the more success stories and the more data you have, that's going to be helpful. And to just give a little example to build upon what Karen said regarding, you know, kind of tailoring it to your own community. So Fairlawn really has exploded over the last few years, particularly with young families, and our schools are very overcrowded at this point. I shouldn't say very, they're overcrowded at this point. And so what we were able to do with Age Friendly was to show people how being a community that allows our adults to age in place also helps with this kind of flight of older adults and then younger families moving in, and only adding to that crowding issue in the schools, which then framed the conversation the way you want it to be framed, which is that Age Friendly is not just about older adults, that the changes that you make that are beneficial for older adults can be really beneficial for, you know, young people moving in later on. So I think finding those little aspects of your community where you can bring together the younger community and the older community, I think really showcases Age Friendly.
Thank you. Yeah, when we're talking about bringing up a new issue, people might think, oh, this is going to be competing with all of these other priorities that we already have. So showing that it's not, that it's really all symbiotic, it's all complementary to each other. And also, we're all aging, you know, everybody's aging every day, every minute. So hopefully that also helps make the case. But yeah, you might have to get creative in, you know, figuring out how to make the case and how to really describe the value of what Age Friendly will bring to your community based on all of those things. So thank you. So my next question is about something that Karen already alluded to about the line items, the municipal budgets. So I'm wondering what advice you might give to age-friendly advocates to better ensure that municipal budgets and master plans reflect age-friendly values and principles. I know you mentioned that, you know, really age-friendly is behind every line item in the budget, but if you could talk a little bit more about that, please.
You bet. You want me to say just to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
You bet. So this is going to be, I don't know if it's obvious, but the most important thing is that you show up, that you understand what the budget process is. There's going to be a ton of public hearings, a ton of opportunities that are public meetings that you can discuss, present to your elected people. I always say that when you're dealing with electeds, you want to really have, it's the 3 E's. You want to communicate effectively, efficiently, and enthusiastically. So it's very easy for us, and I know everyone on this panel is going to agree to, you get so many emails on so many different topics, and you intend to respond to all of them, and you certainly try to respond to all of them, but often you don't, and it's easy to overlook some. But if someone is at a public meeting in front of you, whether it be by Zoom or best in person, if people are having these in-person meetings, it's hard to ignore. And so if you speak authentically, if you know your history, if you understand the issues that your legislative care about, then you're going to be more effective. So show up and know what the budget process is. Know where your opportunities are to speak about your measurable small piece that you're advocating for. So, right, you don't want to talk about 10 different line items in the budget. You want to pick one. What's your favorite? What's the, something that could be a win?
To influence all of them, you have to start by influencing something. So finding the right thing. Do you have any advice for how people can find out about what types of things are on the table? Is it just by attending meetings?
So it is by attending meetings. It's also looking at the website, and talking to your department heads and talking to the volunteers that are, the super active people that come to all of our meetings. We know that we have a lot of people that are I call them frequent flyers, right? It's the people that we see regularly at meetings. So communicating with your people, other people on the ground, and again, picking your favorite thing that you're interested in working on.
I like that. Make sure that you have that 3rd E. We always think about, the other 2 E's, but the enthusiasm, it's going to be catching. It's, other people will pick it up.
Right? It's super important, right? Like, and you care about something in a way that can't be measured, right? If you have someone that's very enthusiastic in front of you, you're going to remember them, and if they're going to show up at the next meeting, you're going to have an answer for them. You may not have the best answer, you may have to say no, but at least you're going to remember who they are, and that, obviously speaking with respect and, not being a super difficult person, it helps as well.
Thank you. Cristina, did you have something you wanted to add? Oh, you're muted though.
There we go. Sorry. I would just add, in terms of the process, that know that the budget process starts earlier than you probably think. And what's complicated about the budget process is that you would come January, sometimes you have new council members coming in, but the process has really started months before that. So I think the best person to reach out to if you want additional information about the budget would be somebody like Karen or myself, who serve on the finance committees. We have meetings throughout the year, but you definitely want to get to people in the very early fall. And start to put this on their radar. But I agree wholeheartedly that emails are great, but when people show up to council meetings in person, you see action taken quicker. And especially if you can come together with a small group of people that, you prove that you have support here for something. I think that's really helpful as well.
Thanks. And I think it sounds like you need to find the right people that are on the council, find out who's on that finance and budget committee, and who's going to be your best ally on that committee as well. Barry, do you have anything to add from the other perspective?
Just try and be brief. And so certainly from the administrator manager perspective, generally the budget process starts with us meeting with department heads, making a presentation to the mayor and council. Couple of quick pointers. I would say a lot of these age-friendly initiatives, if you come off with just one big number, 1 year, it's sticker shock and it's age-friendly, $100,000, it's going to be a deal breaker. But so many of these things are baked into existing budgets. A lot of the park and other improvements are in your capital budget, your engineering budget. There's things in your recreation budget. So if you add a little bit here, add a little bit there, pretty soon it's real money, but it's spread out. The impact isn't as great. And the other thing I would certainly encourage people, if you're fortunate as we were in getting some funding from an outside source to get your initiative started, right then and there, start building it into your budget. So it's, if you put in 15 this year, and then next year you go up to 30, and the next year you go up to 45, by year 4 or 5, you're up to a much bigger number, because in this business, it's the year over year increase. That's the real sticker shock. So if you can kind of bake it into your budget and gradually increase it, it really eases the process and the pains.
I want to add one thing, if I could, Christina's right, that is the official process of the budget year, but it's always budget season is what I say, right? We're dealing with the numbers all year long. And Barry is also right that there's a lot baked into the existing budget, to the existing programming, so that to the extent that you can be on top of the topic that you care about and which department is making that happen, and specifically make sure that you know your town administrator. Like Barry is essential to understanding these things, and he really made it happen in South Orange, and we're trying to work hard to keep it going, but it's always budget season.
Can I just say one quick thing as well, that another suggestion is, if you can, particularly if you're a smaller town, to reach out to the neighboring town and see if you can't, as South Orange, Maplewood do a lot, see if you can, share the service for the first go round, if it's something that is a little bit more expensive, and that also tends to ease sticker shock, particularly if you can find a community maybe that your town happens to be like often in competition with, and you don't want them to have it and us not have it, right? So we're going to do it together. That's another way to help reduce cost.
Thank you. And we always encourage building partnerships through nearby communities. That's, of course, a big value of the Age-Friendly North Jersey Alliance, is bringing people together regularly too, because you never know what's going to transpire, what brainstorming, what partnerships can transpire from that. So thank you very much. Before I ask my final question, we may have time for 1 or 2 audience questions before we head into our breakout rooms. So if you have a burning question that you'd like to put in the chat, you can go ahead and do that now. We may be able to get to it. So you can think about that while we are answering the last question. We heard a bit about how to get started and some about the process of advocating for age-friendly in the municipality. What advice do you have for groups who are trying to sustain their age-friendly efforts that have maybe been in progress for a number of years already?
You want me to, I'm unmuted. I guess I'll go first. I would say, there's always excitement and enthusiasm initially. You get the initiative, you get a lot of press. I think what's critical is to, one, making sure that your successes are known and publicized, and they're out there and people know all the good work you're doing, and that you continue to have the support of the residents. And then the second thing I would say is it's critical to get, and I don't want to use it pejoratively, but get sort of the government people involved, because they're the ones that are, the town employees, the town departments, they're the ones that are there now, and they'll be there in 5 years, and they'll be there in 10 years. And volunteers are great, but eventually sometimes volunteers move on, they move out of the community, they get too old to continue in their efforts. So I think it's critical to have sort of the key core part into the local government to make sure it's sustainable throughout and ongoing.
Thank you for reminding us the importance of, your municipal workers. They're often behind the scenes, but they're there, and often there for long careers. Thank you.
I'll jump in here. Yeah, there's nothing we like better as elected people to have our picture taken. So, and honestly, put arrange that photograph and put your village or town staff in it as well. Like, that's a wonderful way to make them feel good of wanting to contribute and work in this arena. The other piece that I would urge, especially the programs that are ongoing, is that you do get a core group, and we've been at it from the beginning, and everybody's working really well together. But make sure to keep cultivating, keep reaching out and bringing other people people to the table so that when it does happen, as Barry said, the volunteers move or, don't want to do this anymore, that you've got enough volunteer energy. So don't work in a silo. Make sure that you're keeping cultivating.
Yeah, I agree. And I think going back to Barry's point in the previous question about, asking for a little bit each year, you want to keep asking, helps to sustain it. And I think one of the things which I think is one of our greatest successes in this program and also helps to sustain age friendly is the intergenerational aspect of it. We've been, and again, I get to talk about this, but these are Lisa's babies. She's created this youth core of volunteers that now, we were able to bring back the senior citizen prom. We have this holiday lights event that involves the entire community. We had our older adults writing letters, notes to our graduating seniors. So a senior to senior initiative. So we have a lot of things that involve the youngest population that can be involved. And so they're bought into it. So if, mayor and council would choose to maybe not pursue this anymore, get rid of this, you're not just going to now upset the older adults in the community now. It's a much larger population that's invested in it.
Thank you. And I think all of what you said kind of speak to one question that came through, which was how to deal with everyone who's working in silos and not even necessarily knowing what's going on in the other departments. So if anyone wants to share just really quick 30 seconds before we have a chance to have a deeper dive with our panelists in breakout rooms, if anyone has any wisdom to share about that.
Have a meeting with some food, they come.
Communication and information is always such a big question. You could be doing really great work, but if people don't know about it, is it making, is it available but not accessible to people? Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just, in terms of silos and particularly within the municipal government, I think it's important. And what we've done is we brought in all the department heads and told them about the Age Friendly Initiative and all the different ways that it might impact their department and things they should be thinking. Make sure everybody's aware that you're doing it and kind of bring everyone together.
Bring everyone together early on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We have some more questions that are in the chat. I think that I hope that you'll be able to ask them specifically in your breakout rooms and have some good conversation in there. So I'm going to now move on to the next portion. Thank you so much to Karen, Barry, and Cristina. That's the order you're on my screen right now. And now, Rini, I'd like to invite you to share a couple of closing thoughts.
So I want to start by thanking all of the attendees for being here today for this very important discussion. Age-friendly communities cannot grow without the information that you learned today. So I really want to thank Barry, Christine, and Karen. They've provided us with lots of food for thought. Some highlights I would like to just reiterate. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Know your numbers, key leaders, and influencers. Show up, speak it effectively, authentically, enthusiastically. Speak up, know your numbers. Your budget process starts early. Know what you want to ask. Don't create sticker shock. Offer some small opportunities for wins. Befriend your neighbors. Show off. Start showing off smart, feasible projects and wins. Publicize your successes. Take some pictures with your elected officials. Build trust, bring food, bring people together again and again. And with that, I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our breakout facilitators. And I hope everybody has something that they can take away with them. And we will send a follow-up email with a link to the recording from this panel and other information how you can follow up with us too.